It takes a certain person to put on a badge every day and fight crime in our communities, growing crime at that. But we also know it's not a job for everybody. And over the years, our 4 Investigates team has exposed both problem officers and problems with the process to keep those officers off our streets. Lawmakers addressed some of those calls for change this past regular legislative session. But as 4 investigator Brittany Costello explains, what could have been perhaps the biggest tool never made it out of the roundhouse.
Recording.
This is just a snapshot, 7 seconds of video.
Come in your house! Get on the ground!
Showing Chavez County deputies rushing a suspected criminal.
Get on the ground right now!
Time's up.
Get on the ground! Hey, shots fired, shots fired.
The suspect was unarmed.
It's heart-wrenching. It's unthinkable for the family. This is somebody that was loved very, very much.
Laura Shower Ives represents the family of Oscar Nahara in a wrongful death suit from that shooting last June. But her research took her further back in time, narrowing in on the officer wearing this camera, Deputy Ricardo Delgado.
The shooting was so shocking, and the deputies were so clearly untrained and excited and sort of not, kind of apparently not suited for the work that they were doing. We definitely wanted to dive into their personnel files and their history immediately.
There, she found another allegation of excessive force and another video of then Roswell police officer Delgado yanking a handcuffed woman out of his car after she kicked him. He kneels on her neck and breaks her nose. It was reported to the Law Enforcement Academy Board, the only authority that can revoke or suspend an officer's certification. But ultimately, it was dismissed.
Does that raise the issue of whether or not these cases are being adequately reviewed?
That absolutely raises very serious questions about the LEA board and whether or not they are doing the work that we expect them to do as New Mexicans.
As our 4 Investigates has exposed over the years, troubled officers in our state have no trouble getting other jobs with other departments. Whether backlog or board discretion is to blame, Attorney General Hector Balderas chairs the LEA board and points the finger at our state legislature.
The fact that they've been asleep at the wheel and have not provided that level of funding and the right lawful authorities to bring accountability is a black eye for Republicans and Democrats.
That could change. This year, lawmakers passed a bill that separates the board. One part handles officer training, the other oversees certification and misconduct, and will have different board members.
Before, we had the police enforcing and policing the police. Here we're going to have people representing courts, prosecutors, public defenders, and average New Mexico citizens.
New Mexico Senator Joseph Cervantes worked on that bill.
We do have the amendment that's arriving, I believe.
But in the final hours of the legislature's last night, an amendment eliminated a proposed database to track troubled cops.
We wanted to keep a central repository, a database for those officers, and the goal here is to make sure that when those officers try and seek employment elsewhere in the state of New Mexico, that the potential employer would have a full understanding of what that background would be.
And what happened? Why didn't that go through?
The proposed amendment was debated and discussed on the Senate floor. The request was really part of the role of the governor in the process, in the legislative process.
Though it would have had more than a year to create a database of problem cops, a spokesperson for the Department of Public Safety told us the timeline was too aggressive. The governor's office echoed that, but the AG thinks it should have stayed.
I mean, it's embarrassing that I can get, food reviews on my Google phone quicker than I can find out information about bad officers.
Balderas says the new law could still help restore accountability for police departments in our state, like Roswell, that rely on it.
The longer that takes for that finality, these gypsy cops, is what they're called, can hop from agency to agency, and they've already shown a predisposition to not function within the conduct rules. They expose that community.
Come your hands!
Shower Ives says New Mexican lives may depend on it.
Had the LEA board done what they were supposed to do, had they done so in a timely manner, and had they actually reviewed the footage and taken seriously what he had done to a handcuffed woman, Oscar would be alive. I don't have any question about that.
Brittany Costello, 4 Investigates.
The New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy changed directors earlier this year. The changes to the board Brittany described go into effect on July 1st next year.